we all have that guy, that person
100%.
that we would say, hey, no, that's Coach.
Yeah.
We have Coach still,
Yes.
right? Like, and he probably was with us before we were 10 years old. He impacted us in some way.
Yeah.
Right? That not that your high school coach didn't impact you, your college coaches, but like we have Coach. Like,
Yeah.
That guy was a person in our life that, without knowing it, like changed and directed this course that we're on.
That's it. That's it.
Just so lucky for them. Just if you could possibly do that for one kid.
Yeah.
Right? Like changing a life.
Yeah.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the world's favorite youth baseball podcast, Clearing the Bases, featuring Coach Jimmy, Phil, and Jerry. I'm David Friedman. I want to thank you for coming along on this ride with us.
And you know what your 9 are, and then you know what your top 6 arms are. You still got 5 spots to fill with 10 names to sort through. And the way those dudes get sorted through is not the best glove, the best bat. It's a lot of times, and again, jump in, it's like, can he handle being the backup? Is he a great teammate? So we start talking as trials coaches like, well, I'm going to tell you, man, RJ, again, he may not be the frontline guy. That dude stays after and helps us walk buckets back. Yeah. I was in another set, and he ran my fungo over to me. I had a chance to talk with him last night in the lobby, and all he talked about was it's been his dream, and he smiled the whole time. You're like, this means a lot more to him than maybe it might mean to the other kid. Sometimes that's the separator that gets that kid a jersey.
That's where
sometimes you just have to take a back seat and listen to what others have to say. RJ Farrell, Orange Lutheran High School in California, USA Baseball National Team Head Coach. Jeremy Sheetinger, former host of the ABCA podcast, Head Coach, Georgia Gwinnett College, USA Baseball, Cape Cod Collegiate League. I mean, how can I not take a backseat to these two guys? We get into a little bit about how coaches change lives. They talk about, as Sheets did there in the intro, talks about OKG, our kind of guy. You just got to listen. Sit back, listen, enjoy. Here we go. Right now with us, and this is incredible to me because these two guys are just titans of the baseball community, and this is going to be a good thing. I was going to do an interview with RJ Farrell from Orange Lutheran High School, and lo and behold, he's standing in front of the booth and he's talking to Jeremy Sheetinger. So we got him to sit down, and let's go at it, guys.
Sounds good. Let's go.
Well, you got the brains with RJ, but you got the looks with me. So we're rolling downhill now.
I got the face for radio. It's all good, buddy.
So what we're really going to get into, guys, is because I said to RJ, we're going to talk about practice planning. Okay, I think that's really important, especially for youth coaches to understand how to do it and how important it is. So give us a little bit about your presentation, how you started it out, and let's get into it.
Yeah, definitely. So I took kind of it's called a 20,000 foot view to start. Kind of, let's map some things out and let's understand. It's not just about practice planning for this team right now, this game coming up, but we need to have a global focus with young kids and their overall development moving through their career. So it's kind of where I started, and then as we went through, got a little bit more into the nitty-gritty of the day-to-day, some drills out there. I just think that no matter the level, practice planning has to be something that is really thought through to try and get where you're actually trying to go, right? If we show up on Tuesday and create our plan on Tuesday, it's not good, right? We have to have an idea of what our end outcome is. So that's kind of was the thought process behind how we started it out.
Yeah, I mean, that's great. And listen, everybody out there, I want to tell you something. Like, when we asked Sheets to sit down with us, he said that he was going to, join me in peppering RJ with questions. So go ahead, hit him.
Well, if I'll follow up on yours, is that, RJ, going to how you viewed, because you got to remember, RJ, you can say assistant at Orange Lutheran, man, he's been a head coach not only on the USA national team stage, but he was a head high school coach as well. So from a practice planning perspective, how much have you grown from when you first started and you thought maybe, man, I'm getting all the essentials in, and then now put years behind that, you're like, I wasn't even anywhere close.
Man, if you go back 10 years, let's say, been doing this, I'm starting to do this a while now.
Yes.
The gray's real. That's why I shave so much. it's night and day as compared to like what I was trying to pull off as a coach when I started as to what we're doing now. Like, I used to think it was so much about make sure this guy swings good, make sure this guy's glove pattern's good, and that's all important. But the reality is it's changed so much into just relationships with my guys, making sure we're in a good place. Like, we are in a good place.
Sure.
So I can challenge them, and they know it's coming from a place of love. I think that's like number one where I have changed.
I agree.
Becoming more of like player emotional status first over give me what I need you out of a player, right? And I've gotten more out of players as I've gone that way. But two, it's just implementing speed and transitions and competition in practice. Like that's become number one. Like, there's not many fungos. You're not going to see us hitting a bunch of like 2-hop fungos or a lot of like, hey, 45-mile-an-hour BP session. Like, it just doesn't happen with us anymore. Like, we're training as fast as we can, and I think it's translating into our athletes.
Man.
Right. And what you were talking about in terms of loving your players, okay, so, we talk about being a transactional coach versus being transformational, and, I think that that's an important message to get out to coaches to understand that we want to be transformational. I mean, I tell my players all the time, I learned this from Chaffin, okay, that I love you, bud. I love you. Whatever I can do, I want to help you. And I think that, like you said, it's a really important component to what we do.
Yeah, I mean, if you don't have trust, like they ain't going to buy in, right? It's so hard in this day and age with the amount of information and sheets, the amount of information that these kids have, like they already feel like they know everything anyways, right? Like, I'm not really I can teach them, but they're going to go find the hitting coach that they like, the pitching coach that they like, and that's what they're doing.
Yeah.
My job is to try and impact them at a level where, okay, maybe they listen to me baseball-wise, cool. But, like, they're going to be a better person because of the way we're going to go about our business. I think if we're going about our business the right way, we're going to have a better product on the field, and it's all connected. But if I'm sitting there just trying to be transactional with a kid, like you have no chance anymore, because it was said great yesterday. I can't remember who said it, but I told you to do it, so do it. And I don't play. That's not a thing anymore.
No.
They're going to go to and again, cliche as it may sound, but coach would tell you 20 years ago to do it. You just did it. If you jump, hey, let's do it. And then now it's well, why do you want me to do that? Give me the why behind it. Explain it to me. How's that going to benefit me? Why do you really want me to do that? What's the long-term gain from doing this? All right, that's a different relationship. So again, to your point, it goes back to the relationship piece. I think the one dynamic when you talk about trust, you can't get there without great communication. And I think like you said, the information overload these guys have access to. You need to be hopefully the clerical voice, the simplistic voice in the room that helps them sort through it so they can digest it, so that you can develop a rapport and develop trust. So you can go again, ask them to make changes, make adjustments, try this, let's go down this road. And they're going to do it because they know where you're coming from. And I think we're starting to see guys that have a lot of success, whether it's on any level of our game. But you notice there's a common thread. The common thread is they're pretty darn good communicators, And I think, like, if I was to go back in sheets, it might be the same for you. I don't know. But, like, if I go back to when I started, I wanted my kids to know I knew what I was talking about. Well, 100%. And now it's like, man, as simple as I can make it, and we can have a conversation and we can work through whatever it might be. Yeah. It's getting so much more out of the kids that way, right? For sure.
I actually look at it like, if I let my players know that, I don't know it all and I have to work, to find those answers. I really believe that that's important for my players to know that, because, again, we want to lead by example. If they say, well, you know what, coach doesn't know everything and he's researching everything to find it, well, then I have to work hard too. We'll walk through this. This is right fastball at the bell for me right here. If you want trust, you got to walk through vulnerability. And you have to let them know that, like, I'm 42 and I look at every guy in our classroom and I go, hey, man, we're on the same journey. I had a 20-year head start, but I'm on the same journey. I can help eliminate some pitfalls. I can give you some experience. That way you miss that hurdle that I walked right into. But at the same time, we're all trying to learn. We're trying to grow. And to your point, I don't know is a place of strength. And I think the ability, like RJ was talking about, we've all been there. The guy asks you a question and you will fumble over your words to make sure that he feels like you had an answer.
And instead, you grow in your own self-awareness or confidence or maturity, and you just go, you know what? I don't know if I know that, but I'm going to go find an answer for it tonight, and then I'll get back with it tomorrow, and we'll move forward together. And that kid walks away and goes, dude, that's a man of character right there, as opposed to somebody just going to blow smoke at me.
Absolutely. I mean, yeah, being able to make, to admit that, number one, we do make mistakes. And I use that as an example a lot because, think about it, a lot of things we talk about is teaching our players how to handle adversity, okay? Mm-hmm. So if we make a mistake and they see how we handle it, well, there you go. You just taught them something.
Yeah, no, I mean, we have to, if we're expecting that out of them to deal with failure and mistakes and move on, like, we have to be able to do it. If I can't show that, they're going to look at me and go, like, I'm not, how do I say this? I have to be able to represent what I'm saying. It's not just words, right? So if I'm asking them to do something, yet I can't have the same type of action, I've lost that kid. I've lost him right away.
Yeah, so important. So let's get into a little bit about practices, okay? So you said that, obviously, and I think that's a great point, is that, you can't set up your practice plan on Tuesday for Tuesday, okay? So it all goes into being prepared, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a work backwards approach. And, I was speaking on the youth stage right now, so it's slightly different in terms of amount of weeks that they have, amount of practices they have, right? It's all unique. It's unique to every program. But I think we have to have an idea of where do we want to be when we have our first competition? Where do we want to be middle of the season? And when do we want to peak, right? And so I think there's stages to how we build out the plan. And you have to be intentional about what you're trying to get done week 1 as compared to week 20, right? Those are going to be 2 different practice plans. There'll be some similarities, right? You have to get your drill work in, you got to do some things, but the reality is when I'm trying to install and get to know my guys again on day 1, had I done my job right for over day 1 to day 14, we're at day 60. It's a whole different game plan right now.
Absolutely.
But it's got to be mapped out because I have to know where I'm trying to get to and then work backwards from that to make sure we have it all.
Yeah.
Right? Because I think the reality is at my level, when I get freshmen in, these kids are 13 to 15, depending on, when they're coming in. They don't really know the game yet, right? So it's not like Sheets. He's got grown men coming in that have been through it. They got chips on their shoulders already. They've been through some fires already, right there. Their steel's already been sharpened by steel. I'm getting clay, right? And I have to I have to anticipate and expect that they don't know anything. Yeah. Even the best players we get coming through, I start with, they don't know anything. And then let's get them going. And do my freshmen who end up being freshman baseball players their freshman year get the same as my starting shortstop on the varsity level? Probably not. He's not ready for that yet, right? And so it's even that over a 4-year course, it's a plan of action, how to get that guy ready.
You know what's interesting about that is, and I'm not sure if you're aware, if you saw on social media, but I just took over a new program 2 months ago.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so I'm
Congrats.
now a varsity head coach.
Heck yeah.
And the difference from being a head JV coach, which I was for the past 5-6 years, to being a varsity coach is now there's nobody else to look at.
That's
okay,
it.
so the eyes are on me. And as far as preparation is concerned, we actually have our first workout tomorrow. I'm flying in early tomorrow morning, running right to the facility. 7-page practice plan that went out to the coaches. Now, again, it's not because I want to be complicated. It's because I want to be simple, right? That everything is spelled out, okay? We're doing this drill. This is what it is. This is why. So,
well, and I think there's 2 parts of that, too. Like, when you're taking over a program, when you're like the new, there's so much that has to go into it, right? Because now we're not just practicing skill. We're practicing the way that we are going to be as a program. Like, how are we going to represent ourselves? And that takes practice.
Yes.
That's not just something that, you show up, so now they have your identity. Like, that takes work, intentional, detailed work to get your young men who are coming from a different situation to, understand how they're going to go that direction. Like, that's a whole nother conversation, right?
There is no doubt about that.
Yeah.
Can I go down a road with him real quick? The one thing you were talking about a minute ago, and I really do feel this way. I think it's a conversation in an event like this that doesn't get talked about enough. I think when you have a lot of guys that are getting into coaching and even the wherewithal or, again, awareness or self-awareness to go, there's this checklist of things that we need to touch on throughout a season of planning that we need to be prepared for in the game. You know, you start the year, you're going to have one practice where you spend 10 to 15 minutes on bunt defense. You better be ready because somebody's bunting game one. And you just go down the list of all the, skill sets that are going to have to come up in the game. I think one of the things where the rubber hits the road, or you kind of earn your stripes in coaching, is when you can still have that checklist but be able to pivot off of it. But I think more importantly, use game data, information, results, happenings, moments, situations, positives, negatives, and then bring that right back to your practice plan.
Yeah, man, for sure. Absolutely. So I think I always tell our guys that something is going to happen, right? The something's going to happen. So when something happens, we have to be able to pivot.
Yeah.
Right? It could be as simple as, hey, it rained today, so we got to change.
Yes.
But I think going down kind of the road you're on is like your team ends up having an identity. You might think it's going to be one direction, and all of a sudden you're 10 games in, and you're like, we're a different team.
It's happened many times.
Right? It happens.
Yeah.
So you're like, I need to have my bunt Ds done. Hey, maybe last year's team had speed. And we came in here thinking we were going to be fast, so we put some stuff in, like, hey, we're going to run. Man, you got a couple hamstrings that went down, and now you got some boppers in the lineup, and your whole offense changes. So I think as detailed as you can be is important. And I've actually had conversations with this about, hey, your plans are too detailed. Like, what if something happens? My counter is, it's so detailed because if something happens, I have a place where I can move directly across.
That's
from,
it.
Right? It's already built in.
Yeah.
You just don't see it.
Yeah.
Right? But I have it, right? Because I don't know. And I'll keep going. Like, I see programs, and they have like 15 first and third plays and 10 bunt plays, and you see their practices, and they're spending an hour and a half a week on.
How many times do those show up in the course of the season? Where are you spending your time?
Yeah, where are you spending your time? Right? Like, let's be really good at what we need to be good at.
Yeah.
Right. It's like we need to practice the things that happen the most.
That happen in the game.
Exactly.
It's very
game doesn't lie, man. The game, like you're talking about, because I know obviously your infield background. It's like, we can come out every day and hit you with fungos and hit you buckets of ground balls, whatever. But when you start playing, you get 8, 9, 10 games in your belt, and you notice we're really bad at the high chopper. Mm-hmm. We've been exposed on slow rollers, like our good buddy Chuck talks about, plays inside the bases. If that keeps showing up and it then doesn't come back to your practice plan, dude, you're not coaching. Right. You're recognizing there's a fault or an issue or something we got to address. It's got to show up on your plan in some form or fashion to address it. That's you said that word earlier, the flexibility as a coach to be able to know where you want to go, but pull back out of the bubble and go, but dude, we got to spend time on high choppers.
Yeah.
And then go address it. That's the complete process of coaching and obviously practice planning.
We were just talking about that with the group that I had in before you guys about that our games are for us to see what we need to work on in practice. That's it.
Yeah.
I mean, and if we're not using that, I mean, that's the ultimate data, right? Like that's what we get, right? We can think we're really good at either as a team or a certain part of the game, but all of a sudden you're in and you're like, that doesn't look good.
Yeah.
If I just continue to do the same thing and not address it, like that's on me as a coach.
And don't be fooled by a win or a loss.
Amen.
Like don't go on a 10-game win streak and you're like, well, yeah, but at least we won. Well, dude, game 11, you're going to get humbled because, again, going back to it, you didn't work on the hot chopper. You didn't work on your two-strike approach. You didn't work on, your outfitter keeps overshooting his cut, and you keep not keeping the double play in order, but you won 10 in a row, and you're like,
Yeah, if it's the last game
11, you're not going to keep the double play in order, and you're going to lose that ball game.
If it's the last game of the year, I'll take that ugly win. But if it's early in the season,
no, we got to fix it.
Give me that really good loss
where
both sides played really good, and we just lost. I take that over dude, we were so sloppy, but we won game 2 of the season. Like, no doubt. I'll take the ugly one at the end if I get the dog pile out of it, but we're not going to get that far if we accept sloppy wins early.
You're right.
Right. Yeah, and you may get away with it because you're playing a lesser opponent.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're getting away with it. Now you play somebody that's comparable to you. The game you want to win.
They don't play lesser opponents. I mean, if you know what kind of league he's in, they don't ever play lesser opponents. It's the toughest league in the country, man.
Yeah.
It's fun. It's fun day in and day out for sure.
Yeah.
So let's jump into a little bit because what I saw at your presentation, you got into a little bit about BP. Let's go over like what you guys do for BP.
Yeah, so we probably do this a little bit different than a lot. We've separated 2 concepts. right? Cage work and on-field work are two totally different things for us. When we're thinking about building the swing, we're doing that stuff in the cage. And there's plenty of drills, based off the hitter, what those players might need. So that's all in the cage. But when we get on the field, we don't really take much traditional batting practice. Like we try and challenge, we try and get game sits in. We want to be as active as possible and as game-like as possible. Not to say we won't take a traditional BP round. Like I'm not saying there's no absolutes, right? There's zero absolutes. But we want our guys to be, I say executing from a West Coast baseball guy. You guys think I'm going to be calling a hit and run. That's not what I'm talking about, right? But hey, we want zone recognition. How do we feel like we're going to be pitched, or how have we been pitched? Let's go attack that but we want to add some runners out there. We want to have defense playing. Like we want to be getting our pre-pitch timing. Like I don't hit many fungos during batting practice. Like our guys are working on timing, right? And then we're getting a live one. So we're always trying to blend our whole time together to save time.
That was a word you used in there that caught my attention. Yeah. So go on.
Yeah, because I don't know of any kid that really wants to be in a 3.5 hour practice. I've never been with a coach that really wants to have a 4-hour practice. So if we can find ways to overlap stuff and be quality with it still, not just overlap it to go fast, but overlap it and be quality, we're saving time, right? We're getting our kids work that they need in a time frame that gets them off the field so they can A, go be student athletes, B, go be teenagers, C, I'm saving their legs for 6-7 weeks down the road as well. I do a bunch of 4-hour practices in a row. I'm going to burn them out in a few weeks,
Absolutely.
Right? But I can work them quick and crisp, and we can get everything we need to get in, run our offense, right? One thing we do is we have our base coaches out in our offensive work all the time. Like our base coaches are out there. Now, if I'm throwing, we'll have a different guy. I coach third, so if I'm throwing, we'll have another guy coaching third. But we still have a guy out there. So we're learning reads. They're learning when they don't need to use us is more important than us knowing when to use us. So, we're trying to get as much game in as possible.
See, there you go. That right there is stolen. Okay, because I never put coaches on the bases during BP. That's stolen. I'm doing that now.
Yeah, and in any kind of offensive drill work, if you're doing base running, include those guys. Like we try to, not to go up RJ's point, like we try to bring situations. Let's say if it's a base running drill, we may be at first base. Well, our first base coach is involved, and he's the one I'm trying to empower to be kind of the voice. Because guess what? That's his workshop. But if we're doing something that's like, scoring from second base, or we're talking about how we check up at third, or again, how we work chaos play at third base, and our third base coach is involved because now he needs to be the ownership voice of that. I think the more you include your staff, but give your players what the game voice is going to be, it's not going to be me standing there on the middle infield grass going, hey, make sure it's going to be our base coach. It's, until we can get back to the dugout and have a conversation.
Love it.
So you're just replicating game.
And you get that routine aspect to it too, right? Like I go back to first base. This is my coach right here.
Yeah.
He's the guy that gets my gear, whatever. Right? Take my elbow guard off.
Yeah.
It goes to him.
Familiarity, routine, all of it.
All that happens.
Yeah.
I like I said, I love it. I mean, it makes perfect sense. So you got to do it.
Steal it and run with it.
Exactly.
No doubt.
Sure.
I mean, I'm probably one of the biggest thieves in baseball.
We all are. Yeah, we all.
Yeah.
So talk to us a little bit about being a USA Baseball National Team coach. Let our people know what that's like, because that's got to be some honor. I mean, I think if I were ever in that position, I would be like crying like a baby.
I've cried. For sure. It's really hard to explain, man. Greatest honor, right? To put USA on your chest and actually go travel. But it's not just that, right? It's the people involved, right? It's the network. It's the kids that you get to go and see and work with. Like, it's truly second to none. I've been fortunate. I got lucky that I got to travel. Who knows if, and we never know what our roles are going to be. Like we just don't. So it means so much to have been able to do that. But it's the network of people, honestly. Like, I become a better human because of the people I've met through USA Baseball. The competition and all that has been great. Don't get me wrong. Like, it's been great. Like, I've got to stand on a podium 3 times and get a gold medal and hear a national anthem. It just happened, right?
Yeah.
Like, it's great, but it's just, to be honest, I don't have the words that really can explain it to how it makes me feel inside. Like it's that special.
Yeah, I mean, it's a testament to your coaching ability and everything that you do, and both of you guys. I mean, some guy like me sitting here with you two guys right now is like I'm like a kid in a candy store.
Trust me, it's a play. I think the best thing for RJ was, better words are from Butch Chaffin. It's the best travel team in the country.
Right.
And you can talk all the different various organizations and respect to all of them, but the best travel organization in the country is what's going on in USA Baseball.
He always has a knack for putting things in.
Well, it's because he's not very smart. He's had to simplify everything, and he boils it down to such a simple form. I'll give you a quick one. RJ obviously has been on national team staffs. I've been fortunate to be on some trials staffs, and Michael Kadire and the 18U team that went, and we were at trials in LA before they went to Taiwan. And he was like, we end trials, but talk about the investment of those people. Like our trial staff, man, we were invested in helping them pick the best players and supporting them to go win games. And he just loved Cuddy to death. He was like, and we went to Taiwan. He goes, I don't know if you watched any of the games. I go, Cuddy, I didn't miss
Every
a pitch.
single one. Yep.
Like, you talk about investment, man. Like, we're not in the dugout, but we are living and dying with you.
Absolutely.
That you don't get that in other organizations. That's the USA separator is much different.
I mean, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but the 18s are over there playing, and literally we have text messages going.
Oh, yeah.
I wasn't even a part of that trials, right?
Yeah.
But that's still, for me, like, that's still Team USA.
Yeah.
Right? And, like, I got buddies who
Same way when you were playing, like we're watching games, trying to follow the home runs, making sure we were on top of it because our boys are in the dugout. Like RJ's in the dugout with our team and our,
Like it's cool, man. There's the fraternity inside of USA Baseball is awesome, and it's not just the coaches, it's the operations people, it's the whole everything, man. It's just it's different, it's awesome. And to be honest, I've learned a lot through that process that now is, to be honest, part of our program at Orange Lutheran. Like the way some things are done there has filtered into the way that we handle some operations. Like you look at our travel plans, it's that template looks pretty similar now, right? I like that template. We took it, right? So something just as little as that.
But that's got to be a tough thing as a national team coach. You're looking at players that are so talented, because let's face it, and I've heard somebody say this before, and I don't remember who it was, but it made sense to me. It's harder to make a USA national team than it is to make it to the major leagues, because a lot more guys make it to the major leagues than make a 12U national team. It's got to be hard to be able to whittle that down to that team.
I mean, I think the process that USA has put together at all age groups, right, it speaks for itself. Like, they have the opportunity to see the best players in the country. It's not an easy path, though. The kids that get on that journey in a summer, I don't care the age group, like, it's a long summer, and it's a grind, and by the time you get to the end, right, hopefully the puzzle's right when we travel, but it's special, man. Some of these kids are really, really good, man.
Yeah.
Some of these kids that, even the ones that don't make, you know what I mean? Like, ultimately, they don't make it. Like, you're looking at them like, you're gonna play this game for a long time, my man.
That's actually where I was going with this, is that I'm trying to think, maybe 4 years ago, we had a player that made it all the way to the final cut for the 18U national team, and he got cut, and this kid is a first-round Major League draft pick, and he got cut.
Yep.
Okay, and so there's got to be a lot of kids, 12-year-old kids that maybe are not that mature yet, get cut from a team when the kid is damn good. Man, that's got to be tough.
I'll throw another jab at Butch. He was on the staff that cut Mike Trout from the 18U national team.
Okay, there you go.
It's just the thing that, and RJ's seen this a lot too, you are, it's 51-49 decisions.
Yeah,
it's not 70-30. Oh, it's a no-brainer. RJ's better than Jimmy. Oh, let's take RJ. Dude, it's 51-49, and a lot of times the dynamic that I think gets missed is you're not trying to get the 20 most talented players. You're trying to get the 20 guys that fit the team. So there's a guy on there that, he may not be as talented as the next guy to him, but it's a better personality. It's a glue guy. He won't be upset if he's not in the lineup. Yep. Dude, you got to tell your story about your pitcher, one of the last guys you took that closes out. Like those moments, when you see it all, you step back from it and you go, dude, it just ain't about talent. Like the team has to be who can handle travel, who can handle international play,
international food,
who can be away from their family for 2 or 3 weeks without getting homesick, which will affect their. It's a bigger dynamic than just let's find the 20 best players and roll with it.
Yeah,
that's interesting. So she's just mentioned about one of your pitchers. Tell us the story. I want people to hear.
Yeah, so
the hero, baby.
Yeah, I mean, we were down to. We had 3 for 1 basically. We had 3 guys on the board. We had 1 spot. I was, as a manager, I was kind of leaning in one direction. I opened it back up to the staff, and literally everyone else said, "No doubt, Stout." I was like, "Okay." It's like, "Okay, let's do it.
Yeah,
let's do it. Take the kid. Awesome kid. He plays a role, to kind of roll here, roll there throughout the tournament." We get to the championship game, and our starter doesn't have it. We go to Jimmy, 4 1/3, beats Venezuela. We're dogpiling. Right? That's probably like, the last guy to make the team.
Yeah.
Really? Ends up being the guy who's raising the trophy for us.
Yeah.
You know what it was? He had the right name.
Right. Exactly.
There must be something to that.
Yeah.
Had to be. That's fantastic, right? I mean, that kid must have been on cloud 9.
And you know what? He was the best teammate the whole tournament. Picked up bullpens, helped throw. He did all the things that we need, that a team needs to be successful, right? And then got us opportunity. And
so we're always looking for that blue collar type guy. Yeah. Am I wrong?
I'm telling you, when you hear those guys, the way that they've sorted through so many teams, it's easy to pick the guy that's going to play short and the center fielder and the 3-hole hitter and the number 1 arm. And you know what your 9 are, and then you know what your top 6 arms are. You still got 5 spots to fill with 10 names to sort through. And the way those dudes get sorted through is not the best glove, the best bat. It's a lot of times, and again, jump in. It's like, can he handle being the backup? Is he a great teammate? So we start talking as trials coaches like, well, I'm going to tell you, man, RJ, again, he may not be the frontline guy. That dude stays after and helps us walk buckets back. Yep. I was in another set, and he ran my fungo over to me. I had a chance to talk with him last night in the lobby, and all he talked about was it's been his dream, and he smiled the whole time. You're like, this means a lot more to him than maybe it might mean to the other kid. Sometimes that's the separator that gets that kid a jersey.
That's where gold medals are won, I think.
Man.
I really do. And it is such a, what have you done? Like, are you hot right now, too, is a big deal.
Yeah.
Right? Like, we had a player that was a 3-time USA baseball alumni. Goes for his 18U. 3 times he'd made a team. He's on a plane coming home when the team left. Like, he didn't make it.
Yeah.
He came home and go, what happened, bud? He goes, I had a bad week. They shouldn't have taken me.
That's it.
Like, pretty
so
mature
he actually
answer.
understood.
Incredible
like,
self-awareness.
He's like, look, I didn't have a good week.
And we labored over that decision because of the alumni. We knew what it meant. We knew we didn't have to talk to him about international play. He was ready for it.
Yeah.
He didn't have a very good week.
Wow. Yeah.
Separator.
But according to what you said, he handled it well.
Yeah,
extremely well.
Yeah.
Mature kid.
He's doing just fine.
Hey, yeah. To RJ's point, that kid's going to play professional baseball one day and have a great career.
Yeah.
Just like Mike Trout did.
Yeah.
Same idea.
You guys will remember that one.
Yeah.
That's unreal. So I got to tell you something, guys. Like I said before, I'm like a kid in a candy store talking to you two guys, national team coach. I don't even have to give accolades to you. Everybody knows who Sheets is.
I mean, the fact that I'm sitting right next to him right here. I mean, I'm feel honored. I'm super honored. I got Sheets in my presence.
Let me put it to you this way, okay? So when he was on the show. And I usually, like, when I post yours, it'll say RJ Farrell, and, I've had on, Springer and Chaffin, and it always says their names. His show was labeled Holy Sheets.
Which I got a really good chuckle out of. That was really good. No, I think anytime this is what I love about this show, man. Like, no matter where you're coming from or your program or the success you have or anything like that, I think what you do a great job of, and I think it's also what we've grown this convention into is, man, you got to check your ego at the door. Like, this is about sharing. This is about development. This is about growing. This is about recognizing we all don't have the answers. Go back to your I don't know comment earlier. I think that's what you do such a great job of, is getting on guys that recognize the platform is about sharing. The platform is about challenging somebody to be better. It's not about flaunting your resume or your ego out in front.
Well, thank you. Yeah, I mean, the ego, I feel it. And I've run into, and we all have, run into guys with big egos. And really, believe it or not, those guys usually fall pretty hard.
No doubt.
Now I think we all have a little bit of an ego, right? It's
you
there,
have
but
to.
You got to have one to be
have to.
successful.
Yeah,
but
but I mean, the reality is, especially this week, like it's about all of us, right?
Yeah.
We're all, just like you said, you and your team, you guys are on that same journey together, right?
That's
we're
it.
all kind of on the same journey here. Right?
we are.
I hope we are.
100%.
At least I hope we're all in for the right reasons.
Yeah.
And I mean, I reached out to you, and I actually, and when I did you also, I said to myself, I'm reaching out to RJ. He's not going to respond to me. He's not going to, right? All of a sudden, boom, hey, coach, sure. When do you want to do it? And again, goes back to the ego, where some of us that are on this side are looking at guys like you and saying, well, these guys probably have, no, that's not true. None of you guys do. And I guess, like I said, that's probably what makes you climb that ladder as well as you do.
How about this? I think we all recognize that in each other, and we formed a coaching group out of it. So you talk about, and I love quoting Proverbs, but, iron sharpens iron, so one man can sharpen another. And we've got a coaching group, which I would tell you, we start talking about it openly, and then we start getting comments from hey, I started a coaching group, and hey, I started one over here. It's getting, and we got like 15 dudes in this text group, and all we do, we cut on each other a lot, which is what you want. You want somebody to always humble you, but you also want to go, hey man, I'm thinking about revamping our bunt defense. What do you got? I picked RJ's brain 2 years ago about bunt defense. Like, hey, I'm thinking about changing some stuff up. It's the ability to have people in this game that you can always call upon. You can use them as mentors, advice givers, loan sharks. I mean, you can use them in a variety of different ways, but I think you recognize, man, it's one big fraternity. It's one big team. That's the beauty of baseball, which I think is much different than football and basketball. Our sport's a little bit different. Our fraternity's a little bit different.
Yeah, I mean, my experience hasn't been involved with the ABCA as much as you guys have been, but it's to me, it's amazing how quickly that I've been able to meet people like you guys and so many people, and again, like you said, bounce ideas off them. Steve Springer was with me 4 days last year, playing golf, having a ball. Stuff like that. It's amazing how
I think if you
the relationships are built.
If you come to the ABCA and you're here to legitimately have an open mind and be willing to talk about what you do as a coach or in your program, like, you're going to walk away from here with so much, not just in terms of knowledge, but network opportunities, people you can now bounce ideas off of. I mean, the growth that can happen if you're really open to allowing growth to happen is huge. I think that's what you see here year after year. It keeps building and building and building. Like, the hallways here talk. Like, it's cool, man. If you get in the right hallway at the right time, like, no offense to any speaker. I was a speaker today. There's some conversations I've been in the hallway I would have missed me for just to be in that conversation, right? So, no, it's cool, man. It's just this fraternity, this baseball fraternity is different.
Well, what I think is really great is trying to reach out to youth players, youth parents, youth coaches, and to have guys, again, like you and many others that have come on this show, to give your message out, because we're reaching a lot of people and they're getting the right way to do things. And I'm hoping that maybe somewhere down the line it'll help and change the way youth baseball is looked at. And
that's good, man. That's good. I mean, youth baseball it's the foundation of the rest of the baseball, right? Like, if we get it right there and we can handle it right there, and we have people there doing it for the right reasons, that have the right resources, like, who knows where this game can go.
There's no doubt.
Like, we were just in Kansas City in November, Kauffman Stadium, with the Royals there, and I don't remember if it was their GM. I don't remember who it was, but anyway, one of the guys that was, the higher ups in the Kansas City organization said to us that what you guys are trying to do for youth baseball, we want to be a part of. We need to be a part of it, okay, because it's going to help us in the long run. And I thought that was pretty powerful because, again, I'm some high school coach from Hopewell Junction, New York. It was surreal to be there and hear that. So, yes, youth baseball, I believe, is very important. Now I know that Major League Baseball understands how important it is. We got to be able to help.
You do well. You got to start at the beginning. I mean, it's one thing to to revamp and help high school coaches and you know, obviously help travel coaches or even college coaches. It's another to go to where it starts, because I think the thing that we're seeing is these kids are getting pulled in so many different directions, and I don't want to go on
be careful there. I
don't want to go on a rant here.
We can go down that road.
But you're getting folks that I think maybe get a little outside of what the real mission of coaching is, which is to inspire, which is to motivate, which is to create a passion for this game. And I think when it's not handled the right way early in the process, now, and Springer does as good a job of anybody of talking about this, you're tainting a kid's vision of what baseball can be. And now these kids are quitting younger and younger in their career, and they didn't have a chance to play this game with their man body. You know, it's one thing to quit when you're 11. It's another to quit when you're 17, and you're sort of grown into yourself, and you kind of, you know, have some perspective and some maturity and some strength. Give yourself that chance. Well, what is forcing these kids to quit? A lot of times it's the coach. It's the dude in the dugout that's been charged with the responsibility of inspiring passion. Yeah. And I think one of the biggest compliments, and this is, you know, again, something we talk about in our group all the time, the biggest compliment is when one of your players goes, you know what I want to do with my life? I want to coach. That means you did something pretty right for that kid. You challenged him in a way or inspired him in a way or hit him in his heart, and he goes, you know what? The impact you had on me, that's what I want to do for other people. And that's what youth coaches, if that you should inspire to create future coaches.
Well, and I think, excuse me, I think we all have that guy, that person
100%.
that we would say, hey, no, that's coach.
Yeah.
We have coach still,
yes.
right? Like, and he probably was with us before we were 10 years old. He impacted us in some way.
Yeah.
Right? That not that your high school coach didn't impact you, your college coaches, but like we have coach. Like,
yeah.
That guy was a person in our life that, without knowing it, like changed and directed this course that we're on.
That's it. That's it.
Just so lucky for them. Just if you could possibly do that for one kid,
yeah,
right? Like changing a life.
Yeah.
And you know, I actually lived that the opposite way. Okay. I'm trying to think how long ago it was. He was still playing, so maybe 10 years ago, right? So we had a game. I was in uniform, sitting at a bar, and I'm looking at this gentleman on the corner of the bar, and I'm looking at him and said, "Man, this guy looks familiar to me." And I'm just looking at him, staring at him, and then it dawns on me, he was my freshman high school baseball coach.
Wow.
So I looked at him and I said, you know, excuse me, I said, are you Bill Conroy? So he said, yes, I am. And he comes walking over and he said, who are you? So I said, I'm Jimmy Filangieri. He goes, he looks at me, he puts his arm around me, and he you know, I was in uniform, he goes, you're not still playing, are you? So I looked at him, I said, no, I said, I'm coaching now. When I told him that I was coaching, his face lit up.
Yep.
Lit up.
Yeah.
Lit up.
And we'll go on this tangent. He said there was one guy who was my little league coach, and quick version is I was a fat, chubby kid that loved basketball because I'm from Kentucky and thought I was going to be the next white Magic Johnson, and white chocolate was going to take over as 6'1" point guard in the NBA. And I have one little league coach that goes, hey, man, I can't believe they just hung you out to dry in right field. Let me teach you how to play first base. Hey, man, they just threw you in the 9-hole because you were the big kid. How about I teach you how to really hit and put me in the 4-hole? And we win the Little League Championship, 19-1. Rotary, you can't ever take that away from us, 1994 champions. But the thing he did for me, man, is that whole summer, baseball became my passion. He taught me. He coached me. We hit till my hands bled, and I went, man, there's more to this. And then he just grabbed me. He goes, I know you love basketball, but sweetheart, you ain't gonna be 6'9". Like you know, you might want to think about this. And you know, again, to talk about changing the trajectory of someone's life. Now it's a passion, and obviously have a high school career and go play college ball and coach. And I was reflecting as RJ was talking, man. I get to ABCA and I end up finding his address and sending him a note. Like, hey, man, I number one, at that time, I had coached for 11 years, got this great job at ABCA. I said, none of this happens if I'm not 12 years old and you don't put your arm around me and change the trajectory of my life. And he replies with a picture of our team in the newspaper that he's held on to with his mantra, which is hit, run, have fun, and chew bubblegum. He'd throw bubblegum at us in the dugout all the time. And just he wanted to inspire us to have fun. I'm not in that job without him. You know, and I think that's where you go back. You have the chance to impact, like RJ said, if it's just one kid, you can change the direction of where that kid's going to go with his life. And nobody cares whether or not you won the league championship.
Right.
It's just the opportunity to coach, man, is forever. It's not just for one season.
Yeah, I mean, when I end this show, every single show, I end it with Ken Revis's quote, "People don't care how much you know until they know how much you care."
Yeah.
And I did that when we first started this show for a reason, because that's it in a nutshell, I believe.
That's 100% correct.
Yeah.
100% correct.
Dead on.
Ken was kind of smart.
Yeah, he was.
Yeah.
He was all right.
So, guys, listen, again, thank you for doing this. I can't thank you enough. It's been such a pleasure.
Pleasure, thank you.
It's nice to meet you.
You're
and
the
it's good to
best.
see you
Always,
again.
as always.
And, guys, I'm probably going to reach out to you somewhere down the road and have you back on again.
Congrats on the new gig, my friend.
Thank
Go
you.
crush it.
Thank you. I'm
Keep doing this.
Absolutely.
looking
God
forward
bless
to
you.
it. Yeah, now we'll see how good I am.
It'll be awesome.
So, thanks again.
Thanks
guys.
again. Appreciate you.
I really hope you had your notepad and your pen ready, and you took notes from that episode. There's just so much information there. If you didn't, then you're gonna have to listen to it again. And this time, make sure you have a pad, a pen, ready to take notes, because everything that we talked about right there is going to help you immensely as you navigate through coaching youth baseball. Once again, make sure you hit that subscribe button. This way you don't miss out on any shows like this one. Reach out. Reach out to us on Facebook, Twitter. Shoot us an email, clearingthebases@gmail.com. We really love hearing from everyone. So thank you, everyone, for listening. We've got one more episode coming to you from the ABCA convention. And the only thing I can leave you with, which I always do, people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. Thanks, everyone, and we'll see you on the next one.